because I watch movies, obviously, right? And then I get to talk to smart people, and sometimes they mix together. Do we have like missiles in space that can shoot down, or is there something like we're not allowed to have missiles in space? How does that go?
So there's something called the Outer Space Treaty. It sounds kind of, like sci-fi, but the Outer Space Treaty basically says that space should only be used for peaceful purposes, and basically bans what we would call the weaponization of space, having weapons in space. And so there's more than 100 countries have signed up to that treaty. It was formulated in the late 60s. There was a lot of talk about that's way out of date and everything's changed since then and we need to, revisit it. It's true that it needs to be revisited, but I think it's very complicated. So the official policy of the U.S. government is not to put weapons in space because of the Outer Space Treaty. There's been reports again of several countries like destroying satellites, usually their own satellites, but not from space, rather, from launching something from the surface of the Earth and shooting down one of their own satellites, which on the one hand is a great demonstration of what they can do, but of course it creates a tremendous amount of space, debris, orbital debris, and messes everything up. So I hope there won't be too many more of those tests. But that's, I think people are becoming concerned about the weaponization, the militarization of space. The usual peer nations are all capable of putting stuff up there. And a spacecraft is a very, very flimsy thing. It doesn't have armor on it. I mean, you could smash a satellite to pieces with a hammer, right? It's they're not hardened, and so they are very vulnerable. Again, lots of conversations I'm sure going on about how to protect U.S. assets in space. It's hard to do.
And I respect that that's the policy, but I don't think there's anything anyone could tell me that, like, even if the highest ranking general was in a private room with me, I wouldn't believe him if he told me that countries who can access space easily don't have weapons there. Like, it just, to me, I just know it's a human nature thing, and I would argue that all day. But I obviously want peace and whatnot, and we do this thing as humans, right? But yeah.
It's a continuation of the Cold War, right? Where basically it's just, one side has something, the other side counteracts it, maybe goes above it, and then it's a never-ending, escalation of... And so one of the things I always think looking back on the Cold War is it's amazing how well actually it worked. I mean, a lot of money was spent. Yeah, it did work. There was enough communication between the two sides that we got close a couple of times, but nothing bad actually did happen. And I think part of the concern today is that the U.S. doesn't have those same kinds of, like the hotline there used to be between Washington and Moscow. The president could call the hotline at any time to talk to the premier of the Soviet
Now they just
Union.
Text. And use WhatsApp, yeah.
Well, yeah. Now they just troll each other, right?
Yeah.
Just like everybody
Twitter.
else. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, man,
it's not quite the same, right? And
No.
And again, I think the Ukraine situation kind of shows, right, that we're in an unstable point right now. So going back to your point, I think the more communication and discussion and finding of common points is super important. Yeah.